Welcome aboard. It's Captain G with the Battle for Okinawa Turn 3 summary. So we'll start with the ever-growing dead pile. The Yamato battle fleet already has 6 destroyers and a cruiser lost this turn in combat. They lost a few more pillboxes, so now that's 5. The number of kamikazes that they couldn't replace remained the same, so no additional air bases. They've got 16 lost infantry units, and I think that's 28 militia. And in this round, they lost. They have artillery, and they lost an armor. For the U.S., the losses continue to mount as well. 12 Marines and 12 infantry, U.S. Army infantry units. Lost their first flamethrower infantry. They lost a truck, which these have no combat value, so they were in a battle where the Japanese rolled a 1. So that means you, in addition to the casualty, you lose a truck. Armor that they had lost early on, 3 LVTs now, and then more naval fighters. 4 more fighters have been added to this because they lost the carrier space to land, and we'll show you that. They lost 3 of the strategic bombers that were shot down by Yamato AA, and I'll cover that. But they have an unlimited number of bombers, so they get to replace them, but 3 were lost. And then in addition to the Pennsylvania Bellewood and Hornet, they lost 2, the U.S. lost 2 destroyers, again in the surface action group for the Yamato. So coming down here to the U.S. fleet, which is forming up in Task Force 51, kamikazes struck 2 hits on previously damaged fleet carriers, so that puts them out of air operations. 1 more hit will sink them, but as with the escort carriers, just getting them to the point where they can't support aircraft is enough, at least considering the limited number of Japanese kamikaze attacks. Now they're down to 12. So no other hits. They rolled for damaging another carrier and missed. So they had, I think, 3 of the 12 fighters survive the defending U.S. fighters, and then all of the AA in the zones where they attacked. So the loss of those 4 landing spots is why there are 4 more U.S. fighters over there. So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is in the shore bombardment. He reached out over here. Eggman fired a few rounds into a couple different zones and got some hits. You can't move into the mountains, but Japan does have the option to move these infantry from the mountains down into the green. So these are potential reinforcements for these 2 zones. The reason Japan's not filling these zones is the shore bombardment. You can only protect so many with these bunkers. So as long as they're here, they're protected. And then he shuffles, and then you kind of rotate them through. So these guys can move down, which means these guys can move in, which means these guys can move forward into the... Well, actually, they can't move into this battle zone. So they move forward into here and stop, because only the tanks can move in. So that shore bombardment happened. That's point 2. Point 3 is the battle surface action group. So I was surprised. I was expecting the U.S. to commit battleships here, but Egg remained disciplined and gave the battleships to support the landings for gunfire support and AA for the troops coming in. And he dispatched a cruiser and a bunch of destroyers that he had surplus. He still has a few more destroyers out here in blocking formations. He hit this task force first during the bomber phase. The Japanese got 3 hits in AA, and he took all 3 hits on the strategic bombers because those he has an endless supply of, allowing his tactical bombers to go in. He only got 3 hits. He wanted to kill the Yamato, but it takes 4 hits to kill it. And if you put 3 hits on it, then all of the ships would still be there to fire back. So instead, he took out the cruiser and some destroyers. And then later on, when he moved his fleet in, he got a few more hits, and the U.S. got some hits against the Americans, as you saw. For turn 4, this central beach zone, the Japanese, after the U.S. attack, was down to just their tank. So they sent more infantry out of this zone down, knowing they could never replenish this infantry until they capture these trucks. So they sent a couple more down, got some more hits on the Marine and infantry forces here, but they wiped out the Japanese ground forces. They also engaged the units here in combat to take out this artillery, to clear this whole central part of the island for the U.S. now, and keep the Japanese bottleneck down here where they can't move. So a couple land battles here. Point 5 was, since this beachhead at the time was loaded up with 12 troops, this tank hit the beach and was moving into here. They had other troops on the beaches moving in now, and he had a couple LVTs backed up here. On the Japanese artillery turn, they targeted the LVTs coming ashore, was able to get a hit. So that's why there's an LVT and some Marines over there in casualty, never even made it onto the island. So that was point 5, and I don't think there's a point 6. I think that's it as far as major developments. The Marines pulled off this island and are moving in to reinforce here. The reason, again, he's making this effort is even though his bombers took out this airbase to deny its use to the kamikazes, as a victory condition, he has to capture this airbase and retain this city. So what's stopping him right now? He's got to wipe out this Japanese force, which could move in. So it's the only mobile force. These militia could move down, but they're in a contested zone, so they can't move. These guys can't move anywhere because these are all mountain territories, so they have to stay here. But with this artillery, they can fire on U.S. units moving anywhere. They did fire here, and I think they hit one empty LVT, which added to the pile, but missed the others. So they can only fire in adjacent territories. So if the Marines secure this, you bet they're going to move into here before they go to the airbase. So that's the north, if you want, the north battle zone and central battle zone and southern battle zone. All these Japanese here that don't border the green zone are totally trapped, can't move at all unless and until Japan captures these trucks. But they're just not able on the offense to get the hits they need against these Marines. And now that the Americans have cleared this zone, Egg will be able to send in reinforcements to this zone and begin attacking here, because this is an airbase as well. And if Japan loses those, they lose 2/3 of their remaining kamikaze strength, and they'll be down to this final airbase. So that wraps up the summary on turn 3. At the beginning of the next turn, Japan has some more reinforcements, but they appear earlier than the Japanese reinforcement turn. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and how that plays out for the U.S. So that's it for today. We will probably play again Tuesday because of some Monday night commitments that we have. So next up, turn 4 in a couple days. For Eggman, I'm Captain G. Over and out.